mind? Can we heal with our thinking? Does the mind help us to heal our body? Today we're going to talk with Nyisha Rylander, who I'm really excited to bring on here. We're talking about the Soul to Soul Summit, the amazing event bringing 18 presenters, including Nyisha, who's just about to come on in just a moment. And she's going to be doing a presentation for us. It's happening September 9th through the 17th, and everybody's welcome. Just get to the link in our bio to register, and if you can donate, donate. If not, don't worry about it. This is for a great cause, people. Remember, we're supporting chronic healing warriors who could use emergency needs, supplements, and healthy foods that are going to support them to help them thrive. So let's get started and bring on Nyisha in just a moment here. I'm Nyisha, and we've been trying to coordinate it for some time here a little bit ago, and finally, I think it's going to happen today. So here we go. There you are.
Hello, let me take these off. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you again.
You too, I know. We got to meet in person a few times, and I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, and it looks like you're coming from beautiful Hawaii. I love that background there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to have that green in the background. It's really nice, and it's a hot summer day today still here.
Oh my gosh. You're
Mm.
so fortunate to live there. I'm jealous.
It is a beautiful place for sure. I mean, it has its, things as Anthony talks about with Kauai, with the islands here, but it is still a really beautiful place to be, and I love it. I'm lucky. I've been here for 5 years now.
Oh, so you're not a permanent resident, or
Well, I
not permanent,
mean,
but I mean you weren't born there.
technically, yeah, technically no. No, I actually grew up in, I'm going to sit up so you can see me better. I grew up in Massachusetts until I was in my early 20s, and then I moved to California, lived there for 20 years, and then came here in 2020. So
Okay,
that's my little, yeah, I've had 3 lives.
I get it. And so is
That's
this your
when we
is
started.
this your home from now on, do you think?
Yeah, probably, or at least most of the time. I do like to go to Costa Rica a lot, and so back and forth with that as much as I can. It's a little harder when you're here because it's just so much more flying. And I have a lot of pets. You might even hear my roosters in the background. I have a lot of animals here, so it's hard to leave them. But yeah, I'm pretty settled here for now. But you never know, what life brings.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, I've been to Hawaii, but to me Costa Rica is the other similar destination I really want to go to.
I love it. I recommend it if you love it. If you like the tropical atmosphere, and it's a lot of adventure. So the one thing about Costa Rica is there are like snakes and things like that. Whereas Hawaii, we don't have any snakes. We don't have any poisonous anything on the entire island, nothing. So
Well,
it's kind of nice. You can go hiking and not really worry about that. Whereas on Costa Rica, you do have to be a little careful of that. So that's a big difference.
well, gee, the tip. I'm like getting healthier already just listening to you. Like in the future, now I know what to watch out for.
Yeah.
And you're going to help us today a little bit with more. But um, before we get into what you're going to be talking about for the summit, I'd love
Yep.
to hear just a little bit of a brief introduction from you, so people that don't know you kind of hear a little bit about where did your story all begin.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I have that podcast and I interview other people. I'm never really in this side of the seat, so it's really interesting. So I think probably most people don't know my story. I'll try to keep it, tightened up because it's very expansive as everybody's is. But I discovered Medical Medium. I was really lucky. I found the first book right when it came out. So it was, I think, December or November of 2015. And I was actually in Costa Rica at the time. And I had previously of that, I'll give you like a little background. I have always studied natural health. And my story is a little different than a lot of people because I thankfully don't have a really big healing story. I mean, I've definitely healed from many things. A lot of them I didn't even know were things you could heal from, as we all have gone through that. And as I've learned, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I can actually, not have that symptom. So it was more that I was always a seeker of truth. And even when I was a young kid, going to doctors for different reasons and just knowing like this is just not really the truth. And I was always looking for what that truth was. And then going through life and seeing my friends and family, myself too, having these weird symptoms and getting sick. And I just inherently, like, my soul knew that that wasn't what us humans were naturally meant to be. It's not how life was supposed to be. So I was always searching, even as young as maybe even 10 or 12, reading books about stuff like this, health and everything. So I had been studying Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, macrobiotics was my first thing. Maybe a lot of us have had like a similar story. So studying all of that stuff, and I kind of got a lot of answers, but I was still just like, there's a missing piece here, like some serious missing piece, and I'm just looking for it. So that's really my drive, with being in the medical community, is really the truth seeking. So that's why I study everything. It's not just what's affecting me, but I study cancer, everything that I have never even dealt with, because I want to know what the truth is so that I can know it just for myself and then also share it with other people. So in that searching, I remember I was sitting in Costa Rica, and I think it was kind of an angelic thing, because I was like, I need a new book to study. I'm always reading, studying, learning something. My brain just likes to be absorbing all the time. So I'm like, I need a new health book. I need something. I'm still looking for answers. And something just came into my head, and it just said, look up medical medium. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. Okay. I never heard of it before. I might have maybe in some point in time, and I just popped in my head. I don't know. But I think there was an angelic, an angelic force that dropped that into my head. So I just Googled it, and up came his book because it just came out, and it was like, boom. I'd never heard of him before. And I was like, what's this? So I went on the Audible app or whatever I had, and I bought it. Or maybe it was Kindle, and I just read the whole entire thing in like 3 days. And I was just like, this is the missing piece. Just even that first book, I was crying. I was so amazed. And for me, that was just such an opener. And another thing that that book did, and all his books did, was really open up my spiritual information. I was really closed off to it when I was younger. And I think a lot of it was because of that truth seeking. I was like, why is there so many bad things going on? Why is everybody getting sick? Like, what, and I was almost like, I don't like to say this much, but I was almost like angry with God for a while. But then reading those books, and now we have the spiritual book and just all of the things, Anthony opened my heart, not only as a healing information, but also spiritual truth, which is why now I have that spiritual Facebook group, because it started off as wanting to bring all of that information together. So I guess in a nutshell, that's my kind of history of medical medium, so to speak. And I've healed from quite a few things over time. Migraines, terrible insomnia that I had, and I just thought that was my life. I used to have keratosis pilaris, which I have a little bit still, but it's almost like you don't see it at all. And I was picked on as a kid, you get the visible rashes and stuff. And I just thought that it was just going to be the way my life was forever. But using all these tools, I was able to pretty much not have it anymore. It's pretty much going away. And I had high blood pressure, very high at one point, and I was able to never be on medication and brought it all the way down. And that was actually in the middle of my journey, so that's a whole other topic. But so that's kind of my story quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you were going through all that insomnia, did you ever feel like you were kind of like losing your mind?
Oh yeah. I mean, I had insomnia from birth, I think, practically. My mom said she remembers as a little kid, she could never give me a nap. She's like, if I gave you a nap and you did fall asleep, you would not sleep. You would not sleep all night long. I'd be up with you all night long. So she would literally just keep me awake all day so that she could actually get some sleep. So I had that. And I also, another sleep thing I had was, and I forgot about it because I don't get it very often anymore, but it was night terrors is what they used to call it. I don't know if there's another name for it now, but it's where you have a very lucid dream and you can't wake up from it. And I would open my eyes and see the room, but also the dream was still happening. And sometimes, so my mom thought I had epilepsy at first because I was 2 years old when it started happening. And she thought I was having a seizure because my eyes were open, but I was still asleep. So you get this sleep paralysis. So I had that as well, which really fed into the anxiety, and then of course the insomnia because I'm afraid to fall asleep. So as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little better. It only happens now if I'm, really stressed out. Sometimes when I'm on a cleanse, it'll come up because I think it's like a detox thing. But it's all heavy metals, as Anthony says. I think most of my issues are mostly heavy metals. So yeah, it was definitely an insanity kind of driving thing for sure. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Um, yeah, those I didn't realize that that's what night terrors were called. The when you're dreaming with your eyes awake, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
I've had that, not chronically, but yeah, it's weird when dreams get blended into your vision. It kind of brings them to life in a very unsettling way, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, and when you're a child, especially, I think as as you grow up, it just change. But you wouldn't know the difference between the dream and the what happens to you really. So then you have PTSD on top of that. So I was actually in therapy for a while, mostly because of that, because I was traumatized by the experiences, and then it led into more insomnia, and it was just kind of this kind of cycle of stuff that comes through. And I did somewhat grow out of it, and I think, like Anthony says, is you're a small person. As you get larger, the concentration of heavy metals gets less because your body is actually just physically bigger. So some of it might have been that. And then finally, I did do a lot of other modalities before finding MM, but I think that heavy metal detox movie was and still is my savior in a lot of ways. Yeah,
Amazing.
it's my favorite.
So did you ever like look back and think, "Oh, that's how I got exposed to those heavy metals," or no, did you pinpoint the
Yeah.
origins ever?
I was born with them, and I think a lot of it, and you go back to the keratosis pilaris, which we know is mostly copper, that terrible copper. And where do we get the copper from? It's from DDT. That's where DDT is high in that copper. My mom has told me the story, and if she's listening, she'll be like, "Hi, mom." But she remembers as a kid, this is in the 50s, they would spray DDT all over the place. It was just like the best thing ever. And she remembers the truck spraying the fumes behind it, and all the kids would just be playing in the foam. And so she was super exposed to it, and I think that's where I got it from, was that family line bringing down. And I think that's where, the blood pressure issues, the liver being overloaded, just all this, a lot of copper in my body. Yeah, so I think that's where it came from. And then also another thing that probably compounded it was I was a hairstylist for many, many years, 27 years. I don't want to date myself, but it was a long time. I retired about 5 years ago from that. And I was around a lot of chemicals, and there's a lot of metals in color, and I would be busy. And even with medical information in my brain, I would not be wearing the gloves all the time, and you're breathing things in. All those Brazilian blow dries, you don't know what that is probably, but it was this thing that was really, that's what actually drove me to retire. I just couldn't be around it anymore. It's just so much chemical, so much chemical. So when I do 369s, even now, I detox a lot. I get a lot of symptoms still. And I know it's for me, it's a lot of toxin. I don't think I have a strong EBV, because I feel like if I did, I would have different symptoms because I have so much toxin in there feeding that EBV, right? So I think I must be having one that's not the stronger version. I think by now I would feel it. So me, it's just, I know it's for sure toxins, lots and lots of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it sounds like you've healed so much. You've healed a lot of things.
Mhm.
And what sort of other benefits have you like noticed in just in general since you've adopted
I
this
mean,
lifestyle?
for me, I mean, the physical benefits are amazing. And when we heal, it's funny because you know when you're not feeling well, but when you heal, you almost like forget what you heal from so easily because you feel good and you just don't think about it. So you're just kind of like, going along, and I forget how many things I overcame, the insomnia, the skin issues, I had, anxiety, all those things, just living life freely without those. But again, going back to the truth for me, it's knowing the truth about what is really going on in the body. Just, he even says, Anthony says, half of healing is knowing the truth. And for me, it's like 75%, just the way my mind works. And also having this as a lens to look through for everything. So it's so easy to get lost in the weeds in the world right now with all the craziness, like everywhere you turn, it's just some kind of crazy thing happening and all these sort of false internet doctors with all these pretend cures, and people get wrapped up in those. And I would have been one of those people because of the fact of my truth seeking in the past, right? I would have, and I did when I was younger. The fish oil and just all the stuff. And just now I can relax and just put my blinders on and know this is where my truth is. I don't have to worry about all of that stuff. And then the spiritual sides of it too. And just that steady calmness that it gives me that is to me like the most important and profound thing that I've gotten. And it's just a beautiful lens that I get to look through and keep. For me, it helps me regulate my nervous system a lot. Just feeling that relaxation and calm. And then I'm able to, just be with all the anxiety that I lived with for so long when I was younger.
Amazing. So you've come away from a lot of anxiety and
Yeah.
really found a sense of peace, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes, for sure. I am at peace most of the time, which between medical medium and then we'll go into my other love is yoga, and that's another part. So that'll go into the presentation of I bring these two things together, and to me it just creates so much peace in my body, and it gives me a direction. In yoga they call it it's dharma, it's your purpose, your soul's purpose, and that's what we call it in the medical medium community. And it just we lose it when we're sick. We don't have time to do our soul's purpose. We don't have time to think of what it is. And we might have several in one lifetime, it depends. And it might be a bunch of different things, but it's sort of the same purpose. And if we're really sick and we're dealing with all this stuff and we're searching for the truth and you're having anxiety and all these symptoms, it doesn't give us a chance to really, in my thoughts, do what we came here to do, the soul, this dharma. And then without having a dharma, without having a line of where you're going, you can feel really lost in the world, and I spend a lot of time in that place. And I just feel like I'm finally feeling very directional, in the last few years, especially. And it just gets better and better over time. And it's just a wonderful place to be sitting in now, finally.
Yeah, so you said like feeling lost. What was
Mhm.
that? What was that like?
Just already playing into the anxiety I already had, so I had the physical anxiety from the metals that's creating that. But then you also have a trauma, which is that feeling, and like I said, my truth searching. And just, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, of just like not knowing where to turn. And I'm trying all these different things, and I even looked into different types of religions and studying meditation, and I've always loved yoga, and I've done it since I was in my teens, but it wasn't quite there yet. So just having that rounded out feeling. But yeah, it just feels like Anthony calls it the sea of confusion, right? The All the souls that are floating around in the sea of confusion, and he says to be careful of some other mediums and different things like that, because you never really know what you're getting into. And there's a version of that here on Earth, and it's in media. Looking everywhere you look, culture, social, wherever you're living, it's just all these pushing and pulling. It's like you have all these ropes tied to all your chakras, and they're pulling at all different directions, and you just don't really know where to turn. And it's not a fun place to be. And so I'm just really thankful to kind of get out of that rhythm, get out of that cycle, and just have a clear direction. So yeah.
I yeah, it's just noise. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of noise, that sea of confusion.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of noise. And of course it's not like I've achieved nirvana and I'm always perfect, but most of the time, rather than living in this sort of. And I have a few friends that I think about that are just like, how do you stay focused? How do you not get confused? How do you, they ask me like, what do you think about this thing? Cholera or whatever this new doctor is saying. And then I'll usually say, blah, blah, blah. I'm the one that they'll text about stuff. And then they ask me like, how do you just know this? And then I explain, well, this is where it's coming from. It's just my lens. Um, so yeah, it's a nice gift, and it's just a relaxing thing to know that we have all this information here, all the books, all his lives, all his podcasts. I'll have to admit, I have probably listened to every single word he has said since I found him in 2015. And then I of course went below and I listened to all the old radio shows back when they were all available. I think some of them are unfortunately kind of disappearing now, but just studying and studying and studying. And remembering all the pieces. I wish I took better notes though, I'll have to say, because a lot of people, especially in the spiritual group, will say like, where did you hear that? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'll be honest. And I'll try to find it, and it's just so hard. So now I'm trying to kind of get better at taking notes, because, there's just so many places that we hear all his information from, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna take
Well,
a quick sip of I have my little juice here.
what is your secret in the jar? You got to tell us.
Okay. I have a little, I make these all the time and I call them coolers. And this one is dragon fruit,
I knew it.
strawberry, passion fruit, coconut water, honey, and then regular water all blended
Oh,
in.
that's
Yeah.
yummy.
There's a lot going on in this little beautiful jar. Hmm.
I could just feel the dragon fruit from here. I was like, I know there's dragon fruit in there.
Yeah.
She's in Hawaii. There's got to be, you know,
We do get them
liver
here,
liver
although
rejuvenation.
yeah, we do get them here. Actually, we have a dragon fruit plant in my front yard, and it has one flower on it, and only flowers for like a day or two, and then the flower will come off, and then you'll get the beautiful fruit. So the flower is passing away now, and we're waiting for the fruit to come up. And I don't know if it's going to be a pink one on the inside. I hope so, but who knows? We'll see. But we'll have one, so very
Awesome.
exciting. This one
Yeah.
is from the farmer's market.
Oh, okay. Next best thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So let's go ahead and talk about your presentation then at the summit, and um, it's titled "Healing with Mindset," or refresh my memory if that's not correct.
You know what? I don't have it in front of me, but I'll what I came up with the title, and then we kind of went back and forth, and it was changed a few times. I forget what it is exactly, but it's a
Okay.
few soulful practices.
Soulful, yes.
Yeah,
Soulful healing mindset. I think healing.
yeah.
Yeah,
I should
or
actually remember this off the top of my head,
healing
but I
with
don't.
soulful mindset, or something like
Something
that.
like that. Something like
Soulful
that.
healing with mindset.
Close enough. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I should have wrote it down, but I kind of just I didn't, but it's that. And basically, what this is it's me bringing in some of that yoga energy into medical medium information. So when I teach yoga, I bring a lot of medical medium information into the yoga information. And most of my students have no idea the medical medium is, so I kind of keep it chill. But so I have a few practices that I offer in my yoga classes. And when I was asked to teach or to come onto the summit, I thought, well, what would I like to share? And I begin every yoga class with an intent. And if anybody's gone to yoga, they might have had a class like that. And a lot of my intents are very medical medium focused, kind of on the down low, so people don't really quite. Oh, you're freezing. Are you seeing me okay? I don't know if my internet is slow or if it's yours.
Um,
Oh, there you go. Okay, we're back. Oh, wait, no, you're frozen again. It might just be on my side, so I'm not sure.
we're good.
Okay, there we go. Sometimes my internet is a little weird here. But anyway, so what I'm bringing is I'm taking about maybe 5 of these intents that I bring into the beginning of class, and I'm going to share them. And what these intents are just practices, so simple practices, and they're similar in a way to some of the spiritual lights of free will. Like the one that I love the most is to stop and notice, because our lives are so fast and we don't stop to notice what's going on around us, but also inside of the body. And so there's a lot of things we can do to help regulate our nervous system so that we don't go into a full blown, it might be an anxiety attack, or even sometimes if we push ourselves, it can actually lead to a flare, a full on flare. So we can use these to help regulate that nervous system, stop it before it starts, and also just to kind of notice when somebody else might be that way. And, there might be, with the spiritual information that we know now, there might be outside influences, that are making some of this happen. Maybe it's just inside, maybe it's a little bit of both. But what can we do to, stop and think and bring in a few practices to help bring us, kind of ground us down into the moment, and just take a little moment, take a little rest before we let ourselves kind of go. So one of the first things I like to do, I'll share one briefly, is my favorite is when something is starting to trigger you, if you're feeling into it, a lot of us will run away from that feeling. Especially, I understand. I mean, no, I've had a lot of anxiety, PTSD in my background, and that's my natural response. But that actually puts you now. Now you're being chased by something. You're in this flight place. And what we want to do is ground ourselves in the moment. So the practice is to pause and do nothing. Just, maybe somebody said something, or, you have too many things, whatever it is that you have going, just pause. And, bringing Anthony's light 7 times, that might be something that you do. Pause and do nothing and don't react. And just notice what's going on. Feel inside your body, feeling what's going on, tapping in, maybe a quick little meditation. And then from there proceed. So just as example for one. So they're kind of similar to spiritual lights of free will, but there's a little yoga meditation kind of blended in. So I'll be sharing a few of those, and yeah, I'm really excited to do that. And then if I have time, I may do a little meditation at the end. I'm not sure because I don't know how long I'm going to be. So I have a meditation called the Strong Tree Meditation. So I may be sharing that as well.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Me too.
it's kind of similar, just slowing down, just
Yeah.
the the power of just giving yourself a moment to catch up on your glucose and your vital reserves
Yeah.
on a physiological level,
Exactly.
and then just also collecting
Yeah.
and grounding
Yeah.
down is focusing on
Yeah,
yourself.
it's a mental and spiritual level, because medical medium, we do a lot for the physical, which is obviously extremely important, but there is a huge mental side to it. And I think Kathy Merkel Roddy is talking about that in her presentation. I'm really interested to hear what she's talking about with that, changing the brain. And that's kind of the same thing of what I'm saying is, I think that we focus so much on the physical, and obviously, like I said, that's really important, but there is another aspect to it. And sometimes we can find a little way to control it, or else, if anything, if we are going to go into an anxiety moment, if we can't stop it, but maybe we can walk ourselves through it, so we can sort of feel through it instead of running away from it, and for some people, maybe that's a little bit scary, it can be, but I think it's an important sort of soul practice to do, is just kind of go through everything and just really live it and feel it, and just embrace it as a part of life. Because no matter what, and even when we heal, I don't think any of us heal completely, maybe Anthony. But even when you're kind of in when I call it like a nice moderate place where you're just in a comfortable spot, we're still going to deal with ups and downs with life. You're still going to have something happen. Your beloved pet's going to pass away, or your children are going through something, and you have to, whatever it is, we have to find a way to, instead of running away from those things, which is something that I've done in the past a lot, is to stand there and just feel it and not be afraid of it. There's nothing to be afraid. Fear of something is bigger than the fear itself usually, right? That fear, so maybe trying to help ourselves just release that. Yeah,
Mm.
so that's where a lot of my yoga comes into that one too. And I just love that practice, and I think it's really important. And I think a lot of people in our community are probably, and the yoga community are probably very open to it. But the larger population, I believe, I don't think a lot of people even really give it a lot of thought. Right? It's like you're just sort of going on to the next thing. So that stop to think that spiritual light of free will is such an amazing one to do, and it's the one I practice all the time. Yeah.
Right. So, when you're talking about anxiety, do you think that is a little bit different than a panic attack itself? And would you deal with that differently? Or how do you connect those two? Because they kind of seem very, like a panic
Mhm.
attack to me is almost like a very severe, sudden
Yeah.
burst of anxiety versus like anxiety that kind of like ebbs and flows, like maybe a slower
Yeah.
increase.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's anxiety is different. I can speak to mine, and yeah, anxiety is a general thing, so it might just like hang out with you all day. Or you get up in the morning and you have it, or some people have like what they call the scary Sundays. You have to go into the next week and you're like, it could be different. And then the actual attack can be really different too, because there is, just the brain anxiety where you're going and your mind is just going crazy. But there's also a physical anxiety that comes like from the chest, and I've had those a lot. And those ones are harder to deal with. And that's when I've taught myself to kind of just feel it and, live through it. And I've had ones like that of course, that physical one will start first for me. And then the mental one starts, because you're thinking, your heart's pounding and you can feel your blood pressure in your head, and whatever's going on. And then now your mind starts jumping in and you have to deal with it. Like you can't, you're in the body, like you can't go away. Like you're here, you have to sit there. And so for me, a lot of my power comes from walking myself through those kind of moments. And I've had plenty of them where my body is just going off. And it might be, I've had them last several hours before. And you just have to sit with it and working through it. So yeah, there's a huge difference between that just kind of level anxiety and then what I would call like an attack, right? And everybody's is going to be different. And it's not easy um, to handle those attacks like that, and I've definitely had a lot of experience with it. But I try to, and I help other people too, like when I'm dealing with like one-on-one clients that are dealing with this kind of thing, and in my yoga classes, teach people again to turn around and face it. It's like if the monster's behind you, you don't know what it's doing, you're running away. Just turn around and stand there and just say, all right, this is where I'm at. I got to sit here. I got to deal with this. And finding the control or just that release almost. It's like this weird thing. You could call it control of the mind. You could also call it complete surrender. I mean, it's kind of almost the same thing in a way. And just kind of working through it, pushing through. And yeah, it's a lot of work and it's hard, but it does help. And the more you can face it, the less terrified of the attacks you are. So when you feel it coming on, can you pause it? Can you stop it? Can you get some juice, get some glucose in you? Can you take a moment and say lights to help calm it down? Or maybe you can just know, you know what, I have the tools to get through this. I can do this. This is not the worst thing I've been through. I've been through that before. I can do it now. And you can stand there with that. So yeah.
Somebody in the chat, it says, Alicia Love says, thanks, Nyisha. I needed to hear this. Got two loved ones on hospice and a derm causing chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough place to be for sure. And just and not only are you having to get yourself grounded, but you need to be strong for somebody else, for them, for those people that need you to be there. And it's a lot. But I know that everybody, especially in this community, we are so strong. Our souls are so strong. We have so much light in us. Anthony tells us that all the time. And we're so much stronger than we think we are. And just finding that power inside yourself and just stand there and just say like, not today, derms, right, or whatever, and just face it head on. That's kind of how I do it anyway.
Amazing.
Yeah, somebody was
So,
saying they've had both types of anxiety very hard. Yeah, yeah,
oh,
it's not a fun thing. Not a
yeah.
fun thing.
So, awesome. And then is there anything else? I mean, that sounds like an incredible gift you're going to be offering people, maybe a way towards, some peace of mind, some tools that they
Yeah.
can apply to help them find that sense of peace. Uh, is there anything else like a free gift or anything that you're offering as part of
Oh
your
yes.
presentation?
It is, and it's a little late. It's not available quite yet because I know everybody's waiting. I'm creating a little ebook with all of the tools that I'm presenting. So there'll be a little PDF. I'm trying to make it pretty, but it might, depending on how much time it takes, it might just be an easy PDF so that you could print it. So that might actually be nice. So there'll be a little ebook with all the tools there, so you have them, so that you can refer back and see what they are, and maybe adopt a few of them if they really work for you. Because sometimes you just see one or two, and it's like those are great. Put it in your toolbox, have it there. It can be on your phone. And there'll be some affirmations in there and also a little meditation. The tree meditation will be in there. So you can do it yourself there. So that'll be
Awesome.
the free gift. Yeah. So I'm very excited. And let me think. I think that's it. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my other question, which was I was just going to say, is there anything else you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it for now. And I'm just really excited to listen to everybody else's presentations. Some of the people have been on my podcast and I've gotten to know them over the years. And it's just, I just love this community so much. And I'm really thankful to be a part of this beautiful summit.
Amazing. So, why don't we tell people how can they find you and your podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Um, because yeah, I'm sure people would love to connect with you.
Sure, yeah. Well, so the podcast is called Sacred Souls with Nyisha, and you can find it on Apple or anywhere. The Sacred Soul podcast actually is what it's called, and it's all over. I'm not on YouTube yet, and I eventually am going to. I actually have the videos of the podcast that I will eventually load, but it's sort of been backburnered for a while. But otherwise, yeah, you can find it anywhere. And they're just interviews of everybody from our beautiful community talking about their, sort of like this interview, talking about their experience. And it's amazing. And then I do have two Facebook groups. It's the Medical Medium Inspired Spiritual Group, and that's obviously very spiritual related. We don't really answer any health questions or pose questions with each other with health there. I try to keep it very focused to mostly the spiritual and then getting into some of the alien stuff and chemtrails and other things like that, so it's kind of focused on that stuff. And then I do have a separate health group as well, and it's healing, gosh, I can't even remember the name of my own health group, but if you're in the spiritual, we can go in there, but that one's more just health focused for the questions and stuff. And I'll go in there and I do these long write-ups a lot of the time. So if you're looking for something specific, that group is great to go into, because if you have, you want gallbladder information, well, we've got the information in the books, and then we've got it in the lives, and we've got it, it's kind of all over. All the little details are scattered. I bring them all together, and I kind of have this like kind of whole like little package that I'll create, and I just post it in the groups for people to share and keep and stuff. So I have that going on in there. And then a lot of people are sharing their own wisdom and beautiful information. So, and then I have my website, which is nyishayogakawai.com. And that's where you can connect with me, more personally. So it has like some yoga information and my one-on-one coaching.
Amazing. And then your IG, I don't know if you're very active on your IG,
Oh,
but
yes.
underscore Nyisha underscore
Yoga
yoga
Kawai.
yoga underscore Kauai,
Yeah.
spelled like
Kawai.
the place in Hawaii.
Kauai. Kawai. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I used to be on here a lot, but I've now that I have those Facebook groups, it's very time consuming, and I'm on there so much that my Instagram has kind of gotten a little dusty, but I might dust it off pretty soon. But yes, you can find me there, and I do check the messages there too.
Awesome. Yeah, I love those. I love the Facebook group, by the way. I'm sure you've seen me in there
Yeah.
from time to time.
Yep.
So it's a great space, and I hope everybody joins, or at least come to the summit. Come see the
Yeah.
presentation. It's going to be amazing. This community, like you said, is very powerful. When we gather like this and we start teaching people, it's just amazing. Like there's so much value in that. It's unbelievable. And
I agree.
so yeah, I'm excited to see what you offer. I love that you come from the yoga background. I have some yoga in my past as well, and probably in my future.
Mhm. Very good. It's a
So
beautiful combination, those MM and yoga. It's beautiful. I love it.
totally, yeah, exactly. I think that there's definitely a good resonance there. Um, so yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on today and
Thank
and
you.
doing this interview, and thank you so much for being part of the Soul to Soul Summit. And I'm looking forward to seeing your interview. Okay.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for listening. And we
Okay.
will see you. We will see everybody soon.
I'll say namaste.
Yeah, I was almost going to say that. And then I thought, I don't know. Yes, namaste.
Namaste. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.